Welcome back to another episode of Black Thoughts and Reflection. I am Achoti Speaks, and of course, I've teamed up with Major TV, so it's news, facts, and comments in conjunction with Major TV. And I am here to bring you a special edition of Black Thoughts and Reflection as we come about this Shabbat and had plenty of time to think and give all praises to the Most High. um, I want to welcome you in again. So sit back and relax because I'm not going to rush this one. This is a very sensitive topic. I understand that I may get major blowback from this, but hey, somebody has to say it, and I am it's just been in my spirit to speak on it in the way that the Most High has given me. So this is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to go ahead and explain what freedom of speech is and how it has been systematically abridged over the years. Freedom of speech came about way back in the 1700s with the signing of the Bill of Rights. And since then, it has morphed into um, something that works for some people, but it doesn't work for all people. You could have freedom of speech to express yourself about some things, but then other things you can't say anything in way of giving an opinion, and I find that quite disturbing. So tonight we're going to talk about freedom of speech. We're going to talk about Zionism. We're going to talk about anti-Semitism and what does it all mean in this day and age. Like I said, back in December of 1791, Congress passed the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, which is found in the Bill of Rights. And in that First Amendment, it states that you have the freedom of speech. The Supreme Court has ruled that citizens have a right to express themselves freely without fear of retaliation from the government, except if such speech will cause direct and imminent harm, such as yelling fire in a crowd when there's really no fire. That's an example and an exception to the right of freedom of speech. You can't just say anything you want to say if it's going to cause harm to someone else. I remember reading that freedom of speech came before the Supreme Court during the time of the First World War, when there were some anti-war activists uh, running around passing out flyers telling young men not to join the military and in fact dodge the draft. And the Supreme Court held that that type of speech or that type of propaganda um, was not what the founding fathers intended when they talk about free speech, because that posed an imminent danger as a matter of security to the United States. So they upheld the charges against the activist, and he was charged with espionage, right? So, of course, Congress passed espionage laws during the time of World War One. A lot of people opposed the war. A lot of people opposed the United States getting into that war, just like they opposed the United States getting into World War Two. But nonetheless, if you had strong convictions that you wanted to espouse to the American people, you were basically charged with treason or espionage, right? So on November 7th, fast forward to today, November 7th of this year, the United States House of Representatives voted and passed a censure vote levied against Representative Rashida Tlaib. Now, she's the sole Palestinian, the only Palestinian American in Congress. So Representative Tlaib was censored for merely stating, or from my understanding, she played a video, and within the video, you could hear people chatting, chanting, to the river, to the sea, Palestine will be free. Now, some people got butthurt about that statement. They found that statement offensive. Now, those who are listening right now, who may listen later, you have to ask yourself, what is so offensive about saying to the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free? Now, if you don't know the history of Palestine, then you know the history of Palestine in the new state of Israel. Just let me give you a quick history, bring you up to date. Palestinians were in that land prior to 1948. They dwelt there harmoniously with all different types of Arabs, Muslims, and original Jewish people, or may I say the original Hebrew Israelites of the land, and other Hebrew people. Then in 1948, according to and based on the Balfour Declaration that was signed right after World War One, 1948, after the whole debacle in Europe with Germany and Hitler and the Nazis and the extermination of what they say is 6,000 Jews, or 6 million Jews, excuse me, 6 million Jews. Then Israel was given the land of Palestine just by the mere fact that the UN said that they could have it. So as a result of that, the people who were already living in the land were displaced. And consequently, following that was what they called the 7 Years' War, where they went back and forth with the Palestinians. The Palestinians refused to give up their land. And, you know, as a sovereign nation, they were feeling like they're being oppressed and colonized. So the sentiment behind the phrase "from the river to the sea" has been taken out of context, in my opinion. Just my opinion. The phrase originally gained traction in the 1960s, during which time Palestinians pushed to be free from the oppression of all sorts, from Israelis as well as Arab regimes. So when I say Arab regimes, we're talking about Egypt at that time, and I do believe Syria, right? They were Arab nations that were basically uh, forcing Palestinians to stay in that land. They were not allowing them to roam freely in the land that was afforded to them, God-given right. They were there a long time, but the Egyptians and I believe the Syrians, or as well as the Israelis, were the controlling governments of the entire land of Palestine. So they were feeling like, the Palestinians were feeling like, oh well, we don't even have control over our own autonomy. We our freedom of a right to self-determination have been abridged. And so they started saying, from the river to the sea, all of our people will be free. So I want to share with you an article that I pulled up, and hopefully, let me see. How should I do this? I think that it would be better if I just read it from here. It's a series of documents that they tend to use against individuals when they're trying to fight against individuals who they deem are being anti-Semitic. And that phrase "from the river to the sea" comes from what they call the Hamas. Hamas has a charter, and Hamas is the political regime that's in I guess in leadership right now in Palestine. And they coined the phrase "from the river to the sea" a long time ago, but in 2017 their charter was actually ratified, and the leader of Hamas basically said that this project, well, let me not start with that. Let me start with what Hamas mission is. Okay, this is the whole sticking point, and this is the whole crux of the matter. It says here in the Hamas charter from 2017, it says that Palestine is at the heart of the Arab and the Islamic Ummah and enjoys a special status within Palestine. There exists Jerusalem, whose precincts are blessed by Allah. Palestine is the Holy Land, which Allah has blessed for humanity. It is the Muslims' first Qibla and the distinct in the destination of the journey performed at night by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It is the location from where he ascended to upper heavens. It is the birthplace of Jesus Christ, peace be upon him. Its soil contains the remains of thousands of prophets, companions, and Muhajirin. I can't pronounce that word, but it is the land of the people who are determined to defend the truth within Jerusalem and its surroundings, who are not deterred or intimidated by those who oppose them and by those who betray them, and they will continue their mission until the promised land of Allah is fulfilled. So that is basically their mission in regards to Jerusalem. So they want the right to all those refugees who were displaced during the 1948, I guess you could say, occupation, and then during the 7 Years' War, a lot of people were displaced. And so what they're saying, the Palestinian cause in its essence is a cause of an occupied land and a displaced people. The right of the Palestinian refugees and the displaced to return to their homes from which they were banished or banned from returning to, rather in the lands occupied in 1948 or in 1967. That is the whole of Palestine. It is a natural right, both individual and collective. The right is confirmed by all divine laws, as well as the basic principle of human rights in international law. It is an inalienable right and it cannot be dispensed with by any party, rather Palestinian or Arab or international. Now, this is the major sticking point, which gets a lot of people in the Jewish commission in the Jewish community, make them uneasy. The Palestinians. It says that the Zionist is a racist, aggressive, colonial, and expansionist project based on seizing the properties of others. It is hostile to the Palestinian people and to their aspiration for freedom, liberation, return, and self-determination. The Israeli entity is the plaything of the Zionist project and is based in its base of aggression. The Zionist project does not target the Palestinian people alone. It is the enemy of the Arab and the Islamic Ummah, posing a grave threat to its security and interests. It is also hostile to the Ummah's aspirations for unity, renaissance, and liberation, and has been the major source of its troubles. The Zionist project also poses a danger to international security and peace and to mankind in its interest and stability. It says Hamas affirms that its conflict is with the Zionist project, not the Jews, because of their religion. Hamas does not wage a struggle against the Jews because they are Jewish, but wages a struggle against the Zionists who occupy Palestine. Yet, it is the Zionists who constantly identify Judaism and the Jews with their colonial project and illegal entity. Hamas rejects the persecution of human beings or undermining of his or her rights on nationalist, religious, or sectarian grounds. Hamas is of the view that the Jewish problem, anti-Semitism, and the persecution of Jews are phenomena fundamentally linked to European history and not to the history of Arabs and the Muslims or their heritage. The Zionist movement, which was able with the help of the Western powers to occupy Palestine, is the most dangerous form of settlement occupation, which has already disappeared from much of the world, but must disappear from Palestine. So that basically they're saying the colonization of Palestine is just like an old book out of an old page out of an old book, in which the colonizers come in and take over the government and tell you have to abide by their laws, regardless to what kind of law operating prior to them coming. Occupiers, sort of like what happened when the Europeans came to what we call America, which was known back then as Turtle Island. People was, in America doing their thing, just chilling own laws, had their own way of doing, had their own culture, and here the people call savages and say that savages too, and that they had to be colonized and also had to learn the ways of Catholicism in order for them to take complete control and teach us some things, as if we didn't know what to do before they got there. Like, so they wanted to form and fashion these group of people into their way of living, which goes against your whole right to self-determine your destiny, which is what they came over here fleeing Europe to do, and then turned around and did the same thing they accused the Europeans of doing to them. They came over here as Protestants and Catholics and whatever they were, and did it to the indigenous people here. So I think this whole thing about being anti-Semitic or being against Israel is very hypocritical now that the people are standing up trying to defend their homeland. And I'm not condemning violence at no means, but according to Hamas's charter, they already, the Israelis are well aware of their intent and what their resistance is all about. It says that the liberation of Palestine is the duty of the Palestinian people in particular, and the duty of the Arab and Islamic Ummah in general. It is also a humanitarian obligation as necessitated by the dictates of truth and justice. The agencies working for Palestine, whether national, Arab, Islamic, or humanitarian, complement each other and are harmonious and not in conflict with each other. So basically, they're saying that anyone who's standing with them for their right to have right to self-determination, right of freedom of speech, and to protect their land, that they're not in conflict, that they're all on one accord. It's the Zionists, they're saying, that are at odds with them. Now, like I said, Representative Rashida Tlaib was censured for playing a video in which people were chanting, "From the river to the sea, Palestinians will be free." Now, I just read to you what Hamas's charter states in regards to those people, those Palestinian people there. Nothing in there said that they were going to wipe out all of Israel. As a matter of fact, they said that they're resisting the occupation with all means and methods is a legitimate right guaranteed by divine laws and by international norms and laws. At the heart of these lies armed resistance, which is regarded as a strategic choice for protecting the principles and the rights of the Palestinian people. So it's not like the Jewish community did not know that they were going to, or had the right to put up an armed resistance. So for Miss Tlaib, even though she is an American citizen, she is a Palestinian first. And so she definitely should have a voice in Congress in regards to what's really going on over there, and the sentiment of how these people are feeling. But instead of hearing her out, they somehow twisted a video that she posted. Now, this sounds all familiar because this is the agenda of the Zionists. She posted a video. In the background, the people were chanting, "From the river to the sea." And now the Zionists and the Jewish people in the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, are saying that the whole intent of that phrase is to say that Palestinians or Hamas want to wipe out all of the Jewish people. See the stretch? Like, you take from the river to the sea, all Palestinians will be free of oppression from the Israelis, and they take that to mean, oh, well, if they're going to be free, that means they're going to have to kill us all. See, so, and I wanted to say that word "kill all" on purpose, because this is about freedom of speech. Our freedom of speech is being abridged every day. I hear YouTubers or content creators all the time say, well, I'm just going to say the word unalive because we can't say murdered or killed, but it's your right to say these words. It's your constitutional protected speech right, according to the Constitution. Me saying the word kill does not cause any imminent threat to anyone within the sound of my voice. This is what happened. Israelis were killed. Palestinians were killed. So-called African Americans were killed. Murderers go out and kill. So why can't you say that word? And why are we kowtowing to them by not saying the word? You're playing right into their game, and you're giving them that much control. Now, why do they want that control? Well, there's been a plan. It's been like written out since 1960 or maybe even the 1800s. I didn't get a chance to delve deep into these articles, but there is one particular article that was unclassified. I guess you could say it's a book, right? And it was the documents surrounding the book were unclassified. I believe in 19. Let me see here if I can see when they unclassified this document. But it caused a big uproar during the First World War. And if you all are familiar with this document, some say that this is a fraudulent document, but to the extent that it is so detailed, and as I was reading, these things were coming to light. The things that they wrote back then happened and is happening. So I don't know how fraudulent this document was, but it was so compelling that it caused the United States government to put this document under classification, like classified document. Like, we don't want everybody to know about this. It is mind-blowing. So the document that I'm talking about, and that now when you look up this document, the first thing that's going to come up from Google, i.e., Google, says that this is a fraudulent document. But this document is so detailed, so it's almost like you're reading prophecy. So the document is called Protocols of the Meetings of the Learned Elders of Zion. Protocols of the Meetings of the Learned Elders of Zion. And I am looking at the declassified version of this document. And they list, I believe it's 24 protocols. Let me go to the document itself. But there were letters written to President Edgar Hoover at the time in 1949 regarding this document that was circulating. And it wasn't just one person writing to President Hoover, and also writing to the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI. So this document was declassified in 1997. So let me see if I can pull it up for you, because you guys got to see what I'm reading here. Make sure that you guys can see it. This is no joke. This is real, right? This is a declassified document. And I'm trying to see if I can make it. There we go. Federal Bureau of Investigation, and they deleted some pages. They deleted 42 pages, which means that they probably had some classified information there. Anyways, here it is. It says, this is worth reading. Protocols of the Meetings of the Learned Elders of Zion. The protocols consist of 24 documents, first published in Russia. Copies were placed in the British Museum. Jewish authorities naturally denied the authenticity of these documents. Well, of course they would back then. But if we all know about Freemasonry, we know how to connect those dots. If you know about what the so-called Illuminati, we know how to connect those dots. And all of this and all of that is included in this document, including what's going on right now in Palestine and their aggression to actually take property. So this is the unclassified document. So I advise y'all, you can look it up just like I did. It's a PD in the PDF form, Protocols of Learned Elders of Zion, and read it. But I just want to highlight a couple of things that I found very interesting. Here it is. This letter here. It was, like it says, declassified in March 1997, but it was originally written in 1941, November of 1941, and it was directed to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I guess that's how it came to be classified, right? It says an informant firm furnished information relative to the Protocols of Zion in connection with this organization. He mentioned the names of King Henry of England, Sir William Sassoon, Robert Lansing, Sir William Wiseman, Cohn and Leob, Felix Frankfurter, Arthur Goldsmith, Ernest Quinault, and all of these people, the latter three individuals have copies of the above mentioned book, says the informant. So just say that this is for information purposes only. He wishes to advise that on October 27, 1941, confidential informant, and they blotted out his name, furnished detailed information relative to the elders of Zion, which information has been placed in the memorandum form and is being retained in the files of this office. FBI got a hold of it. So I believe this is the FBI replying back to that information. And they said, you may be assured that I've carefully noted the contents of your communication, and they are being made a matter of permanent record in the files of this bureau. If you receive any additional information which you feel would be of interest to the FBI, you may submit it more convenient to communicate directly with Director H.T. O'Connor, special agent in charge of our Detroit office, and it gives the location of where that office is located. But as you can see, this is 19, now that's look like 1949, and I'm trying to figure out why it took them 8 years later to tell them we got the document. Yeah, look at that. So now here it is. Now 1941, 1949, and now somebody's writing to Hoover, Mr. J. Edgar Hoover, because he was came and they had a discussion, and they started passing out these pamphlets. And within the pamphlets, they were talking about this same book, Protocol. So it says that the statements of Mr. Bettany, they wrote that out, but I wanted to read that one part. Here it is. Entitled in the book entitled Protocols by the Elders of Zion, published by Clyde Wright and sold by Bookshop. Fair in Houston, Texas. Back of 1930. I wrote to recently, and they seem to be into my hands by way of a lecturer. The rounds and brought it to the attention. I believe it was when the labor unions were striking with the express purposes of holding a production and equipment needed. So they tried to say that this was all propaganda when this first came out, and they're still going with that rhetoric now. But I want to actually show you all what's in the protocols of Zion. This is what it looks like, right? I don't know if this is like a revised version, but this is the book that they were so concerned of. The FBI was so concerned about. So the question is, why are they so concerned about this book? Okay. Protocols of Zion, of the learned elders of Zion. So this was republished in 2014, according to this, right? So 24 protocols, and this is what's in it. When we say a protocol, that's what, how we are supposed to go forward, how you perform your mission. Protocol, the way you're supposed to behave. So this is their protocol. They have the basic doctrine, right lies in might. Right lies in might. Number 2, economic war and disorganization lead to international government. Protocol 3, methods of conquest. Number 4, the destruction of religion by materialism. Number 5, disposition in modern progress. Number 6, the acquisition of land, the encouragement of speculation. Protocol 7, the prophecy of worldwide war. Protocol 8, the transitional government. Protocol 9, the all-embracing propaganda. Protocol 10, abolition of the Constitution, rise of the autocracy. Protocol 11, the Constitution of autocracy and the universal rule. Protocol 12, the kingdom of in control. Protocol 13, turning public thought from essential to non-essentials. Protocol 14, the destruction of religion as a prelude to the rise of the Jewish God. Protocol 15, utilization of masonry, oppression of enemies. Protocol 16, the nullification of education. Protocol 17, the fate of lawyers and the clergy. Protocol 18, the organization of disorder. Protocol 19, mutual understanding between ruler and people. Protocol 20, the financial program in construction. Protocol 21, domestic loans and government credit. Protocol 22, the beneficence of Jewish rule. Protocol 23, the inclination of obedience. Yes, indeed. Protocol 24, the Jewish ruler. Okay, so those are all the protocols. So before we delve into those protocols, I just want to get a couple of housekeeping things such as definitions out of the way. So a lot of people are confused about if they're anti-Semitic or if they're not anti-Semitic, right? But aside from missing what the Hebrew language was speaking of when it's talking about being Shemitic, of course, these individuals put their own twist to it. I guess it's Yiddish, and they say Semitic, right? So what exactly is not being in favor of Semitism? Because if you anti-Semitism, you have to be Semitism. So what exactly is anti-Semitism? So anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed towards Jewish or non-Jewish individuals in their property, toward Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. Working definition of anti-Semitism by the European Monitoring Center on Racism and Xenophobia. So contemporary examples of anti-Semitism: calling for, aiding, or justifying the killing or harming of Jews, often in the name of a radical ideology or extremist view of religion. So I'm just going to read it. Okay, then it says making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or power of Jews as a collective, especially but not exclusively the myth about the world Jewish conspiracy or Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. Accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing. Wait. Accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Jewish person or group, the state of Israel, or even for acts committed by non-Jews. Accusing the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. Accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of the Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nations. Well, hello. How many of y'all are now considered anti-Semite? Because darn it, I thought we had the right for free expression. You have the right to free expression except if you want to talk about Jewish people. What makes them so special? 6 million Jews died. That was the art of war. In war, there's casualties. In war, there's spoils of war. During the Civil War that was held here on the American ground, we can talk about all day long how many rebels died. Or we can talk about what the meaning of the war was, or why they went to war all day long. We can debate it. It goes back and forth. But you can't debate whether or not the Jews were responsible in part, in fashion, of what happened to them. After all, they were in Europe. What exactly were they doing in Europe to cause the Nazis to want to exterminate them? We have to ask these questions, and we're just asking questions. We're not assuming anything, but we would like to know. Could it have something to do with the protocols of the elders of Zion that were written? Did Hitler get that book? Did he know about that? Or is this just some type of crazy, like they say, fraudulent document that the Russians put together? But the Russians are actually related to the Jewish people. Khazars, remember czars in Russia, the czars of Russia, they're the same group of people. That's why the whole war over there in Ukraine is baffling to me. And to say that it appears that the United States are locking step with the Ukrainian people, helping them to fight against Russia, when here in the United States, you got people who are dying from diseases such as cancer and diabetes, high blood pressure. You got people who are homeless. You got veterans who were in World War II who are homeless, lacking support from their American government. Vietnam veterans lacking support from the American government. So you mean to tell me that you cannot say anything, or you can't even express the fact that it seems that Americans are helping the American government seems to be more loyal to Israel than its own nation? That's my opinion. And I have the freedom, my human right to say it. It is my opinion. You're going to demonize me for having an opinion. You're going to call me anti-Semitic for having an opinion. But these folks can have an opinion about what Hamas is. How do we know that Hamas is terrorist? Because they said so. Who are they? I ask the question all the time. Why are the Jewish people so special that you can't say anything about them? That you can't criticize them? You can't criticize their government, the state of Israel, when they are on record several times discriminating against, what we call people of melanin, people who have melanin in their skin. They accuse them of discriminating against them. Like, there's a group of African Americans, right? They came from America. They went to Dimona. They have a village there. They were threatened with being expelled from Israel after being there all them years, since the 1970s, I believe. The Israelis wanted to tell them that they had to leave. So you decide to come from Europe in 1948. The UN, League of Nations, decide to give you some land, portion of Palestine, and tell Palestinians that this is just the way it goes because they want to return to their so-called homeland. Like, but I thought they were from Russia. According to the biblical and historical facts, they're from Russia, not Palestine. So what right do they have to just uproot a group of people? Does this sound familiar? Does this really sound familiar? Because as of right now, the United States government can't even really define what is anti-Semitic. They don't even have a clear-cut definition of it. Because it's borderline, like, to me, this is my opinion, it's illegal. It goes against the First Amendment, freedom of speech. For you to single out a group of people and say, hey, you can talk about all these other people, you can talk about Russia, you can talk about China, you can talk about South Africa, you can talk about the people in the Congo. Well, hold up. You can't talk about the government in Israel. Otherwise, we're going to slap an anti-defamation lawsuit on you. How did this group of people have an institution called the Anti-Defamation League that overrides and supersedes the American Constitution? How does that happen? I'll tell you how it happened. And I'm just saying, when we read the protocols of the Zionist elders, it states just that. That's what they intended to do in this book. I can't make this up. The abolition of the Constitution. Let's get that. Protocol number 10. How do they make it happen? How do they supersede? How does the ADL get to supersede the Constitution? Well, it's in the protocols of the other elders of Zion. They say, today I begin with repetition of what I said before, and I beg you to bear in mind that governments and people are content in the political with outside appearances, and how indeed are the Goyim. For those who don't know, that's what the Jewish people called everybody else. If you're not Jewish, then you're considered Goyim. Okay? Is a fancy word, I guess. To me, is a derogatory term for saying Gentiles, because remember, they're supposed to be the chosen people. Just put that out there, right? Keep that in mind, right? But they're from Russia. Okay. Oh, let's go. And how indeed are the Goyim to perceive the underlying meaning of things when their representatives give the best of their energies to enjoying themselves? For our policy, it is of the greatest importance to recognize of this detail. It will be of assistance to us when we come to consider the division of authority. freedom of speech, of the press, of religion, faith, of the law of association, of equality before the law, the inviolability of property, of the dwelling of taxation, the idea of concealed taxes, of the reflex force of the law. All these questions are such as ought not to be touched upon directly and openly before the people. In cases where it is indispensable to touch upon them, they must not be categorically named. It must merely be declared without detailed exposition that the principles of contemporary law are acknowledged by us. The reason of keeping silence in this respect is that by not naming a principle will leave ourselves freedom of action to drop this or that out of it without attracting notice. If they were all categorically named, they would appear to be already given. The mob cherishes a special affection and respect for the geniuses of political power and accept all their deeds of violence with the admiring response. Rascally. Well, yes, it is rascally, but it's clever. A trick. But how craftily played, how magnificently done, what impudent audacity. So, in other words, they're going to let the politicians do their bidding. They're going to get these laws passed. They're going to establish organizations such as the ADL that would abridge on your rights, but don't make it look like they're not even involved in it. They're just having this arm, this Zionist political arm that's doing their bidding. Make no doubt about it that Zionists and Semitic, they're all the same. It's one and the same. It has nothing to do with religion, and it has nothing to do with race or ethnicity. It all has all to do with political power and control and domination. I read all the 24 protocols, and in that it is to take over land. I believe that's protocol number 8 or number 9, where it literally says that they want to take over all the land, and they're going to do that by raising the prices on the land, as well as raising taxes and raising the prices of goods. Now, how can a group of people collectively do that and then have definitions of what is considered anti-Semitism to stop you from speaking out against it? You can't say that you believe that they're trying to do this. You can't even say that. You can't even supposed to mention the protocols of the elders of Zion, because it's a fraudulent document that puts them in the what it say that hold up is that says that makes mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about the Jews as such as power of the Jews as a collective. But this is what they said they was going to do, and this is what they have done. So what are we supposed to believe? That this was all fake? So they want you to say, no, there's no there. Are you kidding me? What? When it's all, they have it all outlined, but we weren't supposed to see it. That's why it was classified. And nobody likes to talk about it. But we get over and over and over and over and over and over again, people being anti-Semitic and have to walk back their statements because they got the ADL in the Zionist movement pushing back anytime that you say anything about these people. And I just can't fathom why. Like, what makes them so special? We don't have any laws like this. Like, you can't say nothing. You can't classify Black African Americans as being thugs. That's stereotypical. at this time, I think I need to get a little sip of water. I'm gonna take a little break. Want y'all to enjoy this commercial while I take a quick break, 15 seconds, 30-second break.
Legal Aid Project, or PLAP, is a nonprofit charitable organization established in Houston, Texas, with services available nationwide. PLAP raises funds for individuals who cannot otherwise afford effective assistance of counsel and may be facing the death penalty due to unjust charges for what may have been self-defense against police brutality. Join the movement today and help PLAP save lives and donate to the Othel Wallace Legal Defense Fund. For more information, visit othel.org.
So, family, yeah, I am back. So, I want to share something else with you all. This is happening right now as a result of Hamas going in and doing what they did to Israel. And no, I do not want to subscribe. Goodness gracious, I guess I missed my time to look at this, but in this article, goodness gracious, no, we don't want to subscribe. No, we don't want to subscribe, but let me find another tab to bring that article in. Let me see. Let's give we did that fact sheet. Let's go ahead and go here. U.S. Embassy in Israel. Okay. Fact sheet. Biden-Harris administration takes landmark step to counter anti-Semitism, meaning to abridge your right of freedom of speech. That's all this is amounting to. And we got to stop being scared to speak your language. They force this language on you, and now they're telling you can't really, like, is that not falling in line with the protocols of the elders of Zion? You got to read that document for y'all to understand what I'm truly saying. I don't have all night to sit up here and read the whole document, but I gave you the nugget. Pick it up and run with it. So it says, today, as a part of the President Biden's national strategy of countered anti-Semitism, 8 federal agencies clarified for the first time in writing that the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits certain forms of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and related forms of discrimination in federally funded programs and activities. These wide-ranging protections provide important tools to curb discrimination based on shared ancestry or ethnic characteristics and to better protect civil rights of all Americans. No, you're not protecting my civil rights by telling me I can't talk or telling me what I can't say, even if I'm not being inflammatory or exciting a riot, or I mean, I could just express my opinion and it's not causing an imminent threat to anyone or to this government, but yet still I can't say what I feel about a particular group of people, but they can say what they want to say about us. They can make remarks like, go back to Africa. If you don't like it here, just leave. They can say, they can ask you how many children you have, rather than do you have children? How many baby daddies you have, or which one of your brothers went to jail, or just a whole bunch of assumptions that they can say freely about us that are stereotypical, but we can't say nothing stereotypical about them. Why? The answer to why is in the protocols of the elders of Zion. You gotta read that book. The Departments of Agriculture, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security, Housing and urban development, interior, labor, treasurer, and transportation will also ensure that agency staff understand and are ready to respond to this kind of discrimination, engage with entities that are prohibited from discriminating in these ways to explain their legal responsibilities and inform communities of their rights to be free from such discrimination and how to file complaints. In addition, the agency will continue to investigate complaints under the Title VI and other civil rights authorities and vigorously enforce protections within federal funded programs and activities they administer. Now, this is another one of just my opinion. This is my opinion, and this is my freedom to say what I'm about to say. This is why you had a lot of Jewish people backing people like Dr. Martin Luther King and pushing the government to pass the civil rights laws, because now they can slide right on in. Remember the protocol I read, Protocol 10, how they do it, but don't really let you know that they're doing it, because they're doing it under the guise of something else, but it really means something else to them. It's a bigger agenda. Just like with this gay rights thing that's going on right now. All of that is falling under Title VI. You can't say shit about these people. Freedom of speech is being abridged, and we are allowing them to do it by curtailing your speech or being afraid that they're going to take your platform down because you said the J word, Jewish, or you said vaccination, or you said coronavirus. What? It's part of the English language. So when you make statements like, you can't say these words because you know who owned these platforms, you're falling right into their play plan. You're falling right into the protocols of how you're supposed to behave when dealing with these people in their quest for power all over the world. The Anti-Defamation League is not just in America, they're international. And the Anti-Defamation League work hand in hand with those who claim to be Zionists. The president of this United States said he's a Zionist, and he wasn't afraid to say it. And anybody who's not a Zionist, who ain't rocking hard with Israel or the Israeli state, is considered an anti-Semitic or a terrorist. How many African American, so-called Black organizations are on the terror list? All of the so-called Black Hebrew Israelites are on there. So is NOI, Nation of Islam. So is the Black Panther Party, the New Black Panther Party. So many of our organizations are on the terrorist list. Why? Because they say we're terrorists. What have we done that's so terrifying? Oh, I know. Standing up to injustice, standing up to oppression, saying we're just not going to take it no more, expressing ourselves, demanding that we stand up and not bow down to what they want us to say and how they want us to behave. Who are them to say that they are the ones to have to, groom us? What are you grooming us for? Are you grooming us to be part of your protocols, to go along with your protocols, whereby you're on top and we Goyim is at the bottom? Well, I refuse to say that I'm Goyim. Hell, I refuse to say that I'm a Gentile. Maybe they're the Gentiles, because obviously, according to their protocols, they do everything in the reverse, but make you think it's something that is really not. Very deceptive. Very deceptive. But that's their mission. They wrote it out in the protocols, and they want to act all innocent. It almost feels like Netanyahu couldn't wait till something happened so he can go in there and do a major land grab. He had no intentions of making a two-state solution with the people of Palestine. even though he knows the history, even though he knows that his forefathers or whatever, they came over there and just took the land and displaced a whole lot of people. That's like war crimes, in my opinion. It's my opinion, and I have a right to state my opinion. I feel like the government of Israel, the state of Israel, is committing war crimes against innocent Palestinians. If your beef is with Hamas, how many people represent the government of Hamas? But you're turning around and killing innocent people. But then you want to run to the United States, want to run to Ukraine and tell the Ukrainians, stand up for your right to self-determination against Russia. How hypocritical are we? And we're going along with it. Sure, America has allies and America has enemies. But why are these nation states enemies, but yet and still you still do trade deals with them? How long have they been saying Russia is the enemy? How long have they been saying China is the enemy? But when almost everything that we buy and purchase comes from China, somebody help me out, because we damn sure not manufacturing anything in the United States. But I think that's part of the protocols to bring down the government, to implode the monetary system so that we could depend on this one state of Israel for everything. They have all the answers. This is what they're saying in their protocols, that they have all the answers to everything that ails people around the world. They're the ruling. They want to be the ruling and controlling power. And we're playing along into it when we use rhetoric such as they're the chosen people and they should be in that land. Wait a minute. Seriously, think about what you're saying. If they're supposed to be in that land, why do they have an overwhelming number of them that's dying from melanoma, that's skin cancer, because the sun is burning them, if they're supposed to be in that land? And then how is Palestine African tectonic plate, but there's no people of color that you see? How did that happen? Don't get me wrong, there are some Afro-Palestinians in the land. There are also Hebrews in the land with dark skin. You notice, this is a side, since I'm kind of on the road. You ever notice why if Jewish people say that they are the chosen people, why aren't they called? Why do they call themselves Jewish? Now I'm an English major, right? I got a degree in English writing. And ish, ISH, is a suffix, which means to be like, like blackish or bluish, but they're Jewish. That means that they are Jew-like. So if they're trying to be like the Jews, we're the real Jews. Let that marinate. The protocols of Zion. The protocols of Zion. That's the there. That's what you need to be paying attention to in this hour. Soon as they tell you don't read it, that means read it. If they tell you don't read it, that means you should be reading it. Protocol number 6, acquisition of land. We shall soon begin to establish huge monopolies, reservoirs of colossal riches, upon which even large fortunes of the Goyim will depend to such an extent that they will go to the bottom together with the credit of the states on the day after the political smash. Could we be watching a political smash right now with this anti-Semitism? With this anti-Semitism rhetoric? remember I said, oh, hold up. Did I give y'all a definition of Zionism? Let's do that. Zionism. Right? Maybe it's gonna start to make sense when I say I did do anti-Semitic, but let's get the definition of Zionism, right? Because you have to understand, because even your president of the United States said he's a Zionist, right? But you can't say that he is. You can't say that he is, but he can say that he is, because if you to say that he is would mean that he is more concerned with the state of Israel than he is his own country. Well, because that's the definition of Zionism. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let's get it from the ADL. Let's see what the ADL have to say about what Zionism is. You can't make this stuff up, but the problem is we don't read for understanding. We let them tell us, and then we say, okay. Zionism is the movement of self-determination and statehood for the Jewish people in their ancestral homeland, the land, hold up, let me get that out the way. The ancestral homeland, the land of Israel. The vast majority of Jews around the world feel a connection or kinship with Israel, whether or not they are explicitly identified as Zionists, and regardless of their opinions on policies of the Israeli government. While there have been continuous Jewish presence in the land of Israel over the millennia, the yearning to return to Zion, the biblical term for both the land of Israel and Jerusalem, has been the cornerstone of Jewish communal life since the Romans violently colonized the land, sending Jews into exile 2,000 years ago. In earlier exile by the Babylonians produced perhaps the most reputation. By the rivers of Babylon, they were swept and remember Zion. Now, see, they said that the Romans and the Babylonians exiled them and took their land. So, where the Palestinians come out, because the Palestinians are not Romans. Romans are for Europe. Okay. Babylonians are Iranians, but they were overrun. The real Iranians were overrun by the Assyrians. Babylon was then, yeah, the Greeks, yeah. Anyway, same people. So what they claiming the Babylonians and the Romans did to them, they're now in turn doing to the Palestinians. How hypocritical. Are you kidding me? And for all intents and purposes, the Palestinians are Semitic too. They're Semitic too. Because when you really want to delve deep into what the word Semitic means, it's about a people in the language that they speak, called the Semitic languages, which is really the Aramaic and the Hebrew languages. What these Israelis speak is called Yiddish. It came from a language that originated in Europe, near the Caucasus Mountains, the footsteps of Russia. So who's really anti-Semitic? I think they are. But remember, I told you, according to the protocols, they have to do things in reverse to make it look like they're the victims, or they're the victors, or they're the ones that's going to come and be capped and save a hoe. That's what they want you to believe. That they're all holy and that we're all jacked up and don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to take care of our credit. We don't know how to take care of our families. We don't know how to educate ourselves. We are slowly losing all of our freedom of speech to tell these people, F off. That we don't need you to tell us how to live. We don't want to follow your protocols. But yet and still, they want to claim that they're the people of the book. How are you the people? How, Sway? behaving the way that you're behaving? Did God tell you to go over there and bomb innocent kids and children? I doubt that seriously, Mr. Netanyahu. Now I'm just speaking directly to him because he's the head of the government. So they say don't talk about the whole government. Okay, I'm gonna just talk about the one person, the one Jewish person. That act that he did when he declared war on Palestine because of what he felt Hamas did. Yes, Mr. Netanyahu did that. So the one person did that who just happened to be Jewish. I don't even think he's blue. I think he's Jewish. I think he's really Zionist, like by Biden. That's what I think. Because he don't observe any of the Torah. I just don't see it in his behavior, in his speech. I just don't see it. But what we have to do is start exercising our right to say these things because it's your opinion. Like assholes, everybody got one. And nothing that I'm saying is, what do you call, how do you say nothing? I'm not enticing anybody to go out and do any harm to anyone. I'm not posing no imminent threat to no one by just simply stating the facts that stop trampling on our rights to say what we want to say if we don't pose an immediate threat to anyone. Let's talk about Ron Dalton in his book, Hebrews to Negroes. Did y'all ever wonder why no one ever really said his name? All y'all know that Kyrie Irving posted a picture of a book or a film, and he had to apologize to the Jews because for all of y'all who didn't really see the movie Hebrews to Negroes, I'm gonna tell you right now, it was maybe 6 minutes, not even 6 minutes, when Ron Dalton talks about the Jews specifically, just them. Maybe not even 6 minutes of a 3-hour film. So when I tell you can't say nothing about these people, you can't say nothing about these people. But this is Mr. Ron Dalton right here. So let me show you how concerned they are about this young man. All the way over there in Africa. They're concerned about it all the way over in Africa as well. They're trying to abridge their right to freedom of speech too, as well. You ever notice why he never was on TV? Ron Dalton was never on TV. But they talked about the book that had the anti-Semitic tropes in it. Maybe even, I don't even think he talked about him for 6 minutes. Like, I don't even know. But the whole point is, why do they want this man to not say anything? What do they fear about this man? But let me show you. So I just happened to be on Twitter. I mean, not on Twitter, on Instagram, and came across this posting. And this is from Ron Dalton. He posted this. And right here you see Film and Publication Board, Content Regulatory Authority of South Africa. So for all who don't know, Ron Dalton was in the Africa is trying to show his film in the African version of the ADL, tried to get his film banned in South Africa. That's how serious this is. Freedom of speech. This man has wrote several books, produced several films, and they want to tell them, the Jewish people want to tell him, no, you can't show your film in South Africa because we don't like what you say. But that's unconstitutional because the Supreme Court has said, let me see exactly what the wording from the Supreme Court say in regards to language. The Supreme Court also noted the term content neutrality means the government cannot censor or restrict expression just because some segment of the population finds the content offensive. Just like from the river to the sea, Palestinians will be free. Some find that offensive. They want to take it to the extreme. I'm not saying that all Jews should die. I'm just saying free to oppress people everywhere, including here in America. We're still oppressed. From the West Coast to the East Coast, Black Americans should be free. So what? Does that mean I want all government officials and all white folks to die? No, I'm just saying, simply saying out of my mouth, my own opinion. I think that you guys are oppressing us and I would like to be free. See, simple. So anyways, let's get back to this letter that these people had to respond to. The Film and Publication Board had to respond to this. Read from Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America, the film, complaint submitted by the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. When I tell you they're everywhere, they mean that they're like a freaking cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like once it starts somewhere, it starts spreading so fast like wildfire. But they all the way in Africa. Kyrie Irving did his thing here in America. And granted, now let me just y'all didn't know that book and that movie had been out years before Kyrie Irving discovered it. I guess he was bored one day and was just going through Amazon. I don't know. He discovered the book. I don't know. Maybe somebody pulled his coattail and told him, hey, go look it up. And he decided to post it. But regardless of what I'm trying to say, the book had been out for a long time. The movie had been out for a long time. How do I know? Because I've seen it in its entirety. And my mama got the book. So what I'm saying is, for them to be all the way in South Africa trying to stop this movie from being played is absolutely astronomically just evil. And I'm talking about the Jewish Board of Deputies in South Africa, specifically. So say the board that on June 8, 2023, the duly constituted classification committee of the Film and Publication Board assessed and classified the film from Hebrews to Negroes and issued a classification rating of 16P under reference number. On August 17, 2023, the FBP received an application by the Jewish Board for reclassification of the said film for the following basis. The FBP failed to take into account and substantially consider the formal complaint lodged by the Jewish Board against the film on May 23rd. The film promotes and makes anti-Semitic and extremist claims throughout. That's a lie. That is a lie. The film contains prohibited hate speech and constitutes an incitement to cause harm. That's what I keep telling y'all about that incitement to cause harm. The film does not say anything about going killing Jews. Nothing. It's simply, I ain't gonna even tell you, I want y'all to go and get the movie and see for yourself. And it's probably like not until in the second hour of the movie when he even make mention of them people. The contravenes the promotion of equality and prevention of unfair discrimination act. And they claiming that he was unfairly discriminated against. And when I say that all of these people who had to walk back their statements, regarding the Jewish people, because the ADL came out and said, or the Jewish community came out and said that they were being anti-Semitic. You have people like Whoopi Goldberg, who simply said, what did she say? She said she didn't understand what the big deal was during World War II because that was just white people killing white people. And the Jewish people said, no, we're not white. We're Jewish. They're specific, like they're separate from white people. I'm like, I don't know about that, because all y'all Caucasians to me. Like, y'all literally come from the Caucasus Mountains. What are we talking about here? Now all of a sudden you want to be separate? You want to be different? Like what? Like for real? So she had to walk back her statement saying she didn't know. Paul Nick Cannon, he on the he on his own show talking to Professor Griff, and they're talking about the history of the Hebrews. And I believe Nick Cannon to the fact that Hebrews are black or something like that, and he had to walk it back. As a matter of fact, he had to have a rabbi from the Jewish community come and educate him on the plight of Jews. Then you already know about Kyrie Irving and his post. Then you have your man Kanye West. Kanye West lost millions of dollars just because of the fact that he said that the Jews control the music industry, control the media. Well, I mean, if you really look at the numbers and you see who's in control of all these companies, they're either Jewish or they're Zionists. So did he lie? Or did he just state an opinion? Or was he speaking facts that break the non-believers back? You know what I mean? Like, so what's really going on? So you have all these people. You have all these people that had to walk back their statements. But Ryan Dalton standing 10 toes down on it. He's like, no, I've done my research, and based on my research, this is what it is, and it's all in his book. And he's not making no exceptions for it. He's like saying, this is what it is. It is what it is. And so did Representative Rashida Tlaib in the United States Congress, in the House of Representatives. She didn't walk back her statement either. She said, I'm a Palestinian. And of all people, you guys should want to listen to me. Just listen. She didn't say accept it. She just said, listen to me. But instead of listening to her, they censored her. And she simply stated that I'm just expressing how I feel. It's part of free speech. From the river to the sea, Palestinians should be free. That don't mean that we want everybody to die. That does not mean that they want everybody to die. I'm just so not trying to understand what's really going on with our people when we kowtow to these people just because they say so. Who are you? And why these are the questions that I ask. I know these are hot button topics, and nobody in Washington can figure it out. Censorship should not be the answer to the looming questions of human and civil rights abuses from governments. Freedom of speech should be honored, even if the opinion expressed hurts someone's feelings. Where there is no imminent threat of danger, freedom of speech should not be abridged. What makes the Jewish people special in their actions cannot be criticized. But like they're flawless, because I didn't think they had any flawless individuals walking on the face of this earth. I really like, nobody's flawless. So you can't say anything. If the Israeli state, the government, is committing war crimes, in my opinion, I'm not allowed to say it. Is that going to incite a riot? Are we that sensitive? Are we that sensitive? Where speech hurts your feelings and then you want to get somebody thrown in jail or fined seriously or even killed. Or as content creators like to say these days, unalived. What you afraid of? The word is killed. Like somebody's trying to kill you, say it. If somebody is killing somebody else, say it. So what, they take your YouTube channel? Is that what it's all about? I thought it was about getting the message out. Now that the message is out, who cares? Anybody who's under the sound of my voice, I hope you understand what I'm saying. Don't let them stop you from expressing the way that you feel unless you are saying things that will cause an imminent threat or harm to the United States government. Biden can be a Zionist all he wants to. I'm not a Zionist. And you have the right not to be too. They're gonna lead you straight to hell and damnation if you keep on going along with everything that they say. Governments can be wrong too, folks. But some of us love this country so much so we can't even criticize them or admit when they have messed up. And I am not going to stand by and say that I believe in the Constitution and allow the elders of Zion to tell me that they're going to actively destroy the Constitution, and while they get better treatment than the people who helped build this country. And from what I understand, there's a whole lot of us that had a part of that in that Constitution, but they would never tell you that. Because as usual, they like to hide things. Now, remember, in the protocols, they said that they want to infiltrate education. So what's going on right now in education? How you can't say that Africans were enslaved by the colonizers. How you can't say that Rosa Parks sat on the front of the bus because the white folks didn't want her, didn't want black folks sitting next to them, but she did it defiantly. She was defiant. She did a resistance move, even though others had done it before her, but she got the spotlight, so let's just go with it. They don't want you to talk about that no more. Damn sure don't want you to talk about Nate Turner and how he rebelled and set all them slaves, and the slaves went on a killing spree. They don't want you to talk about that history. They want you to believe everything is all la-di-da, while some of them are pushing back hard on a woman's right to have an abortion. They won't holler about pro-life, pro-life, pro-life. Well, if you're so pro-life, you mean to tell me the Palestinians over there it's not lives? They have their lives too. Their lives matter too, just like the Israeli lives matter. We got to stop playing games and stop playing semantics, because you're falling into their playbook. That's what they want you to do. Be confused so they can come see. It's like they like chaos, right? Order out of chaos. Order out of chaos. They create the problem so they can give you the solution. So the solution is going to be what they want to happen all along. Understand? They create the problem so they can give you the solution, but the solution is what they want to happen all along. Now watch when the dollar fell. Watch when the dollar fell. And they bring in that universal money, that digital currency. Didn't I just read that in the protocols? About the universal, that's one of the protocols, that they want a universal currency. They want to be in control of the money. Isn't that what happened in Germany? Isn't that what Hitler was mad about? How the Jewish people was there that was in control of the banks, and they were committing usury on the people, on the Goyim. It's in the history books. So I'm not supposed to say it? But I be damned. I didn't spend almost damn near $100,000 on some education, and I read a lot of books. It's in the history books. If it wasn't so, why is it in the books? Just like this book, The Protocols of Zion. You got to be kidding me if you think you ain't supposed to read it because they tell you don't read it. Why was it classified? If it was so fraudulent, why did they classify it? Why is it so hard to find? If it's fraudulent. That's the first thing they say. Fraudulent book. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. That's the same thing a lot of people say about the scriptures too, the Holy Bible also. But they got a whole lot of history in them books on top of whatever y'all think is mythology or ideology or whatever. There's a whole lot of truth in them books. But you got to be reading and looking for it. You can't just be going with the status quo. You can't believe everything that they want to tell you, just like they trying to whitewash history of the so-called African American, so-called Black, so-called indigenous Aboriginal people here in America, whitewashing what happened in slavery. You don't think that they whitewashed that book too? But I know that they did. And guess what? In the books that they took out of that same book, the books that they took out of that same book said that they were going to do that exact same thing that they did. Painted themselves in your image. In the scripture said that it was going to do that. That's all part of the protocols to bring all of humanity underneath their rule. My homework for you guys really is to go ahead and cop this book. I'm going to put it up again and read it. If it's fraudulent, that's fine. But just read it. Chew the meat, spit out the bones. The protocols of the learned elders of Zion, it is too detailed to be all fraudulent. Some of these things that they said that they were going to do have already been done. Has already been done. And when you hear people like President Biden say, I'm a Zionist, and then you read what anti-defamation definition is, share this tab. Accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nations. Well, damn. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Is that not what Biden is doing right now? Somebody help me out. So I ask you, just ask you guys to do your research on this. Anti-Semitism is not always anti-Semitism. It's just that some words that, that hurts their feelings. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech until you cross the line and threaten people. No. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech until you propose an imminent to the United States of America. If China is not allowing any of the broadcasts from America, any of the internet stations or whatever, people can't watch or listen to what we have going on in the news or anything like that. They banning it, you know what I mean? Then why can't you have the freedom of speech in your own country to say what you feel without fear of hurting somebody's feelings? Are we that sensitive now? Like, man, brush your shoulders off and keep it moving. If you're not the synagogue of Satan that they say you are, then it wouldn't even matter to you. If there's not nothing to hide, why can't we watch Ron Dalton's film, Hebrews to Negroes? Why are you all the way in South Africa trying to ban a book in a movie? Because a lot of us here we're just not interested. First of all, the movie is too long for most of us because we have a short attention span. But that's where you miss some stuff. When you don't take the time to read for understanding. Or just sit down and watch history. Your history. You just want to be spoon-fed. You don't want to do the work yourself. But then you wonder why we can't come together as a nation of people. Because we all don't stand on the same principles. That's why. Because we don't even read to know what principles we should have. See, they got the protocols of Zion. What do we have? They got protocols as to how they should treat you. But we let them tell us how we should treat them. We literally let them tell us how we should treat them and put the fear in us. You curtail your language just to please them. Oh, don't say Jewish because you know they got me shadow banned. Don't say this word. Don't say that word, man. All that. Say what you have to say and let the chips fall where they may. You ain't hurt nobody. It's just called speech. They need to get out of their feelings. That's the problem with us. We're too damn sensitive. Sometimes the truth hurts. And obviously, they are really butthurt. And so, with that, family, I'm going to say, keep your heads up. Stop being scared. The Zionists are not boogie people, boogeyman. They want to be boogeyman. You know what? They want to instill fear in you, but fear no man. Fear no man. The Palestinians are saying, Hamas is saying that they want to be free of the oppressors. And I say, well, what's wrong with that, you dig? Because that's the same thing we want to do. Be free from the oppressors. And I'm not trying to say you should be all over here flying the Palestinian flag and all that bull crap. But what I'm trying to say is recognize what's really going on. And recognize how we got here. It's not like the Palestinians want to come and invade Israel. Israelis invaded them and now want them to just shut up and be quiet and just take it and take some more and take some more and take some more. Where was all this outrage when Israel was doing what they was doing to these people a couple of years ago? Where the police was, the IDF was over there just rounding up people, killing journalists. How about what they're doing to the so-called Christians when you can't even barely even read a Bible, let alone say the word Jesus? That's another thing. That's offensive. I find that offensive. I find the fact that in their book, the Talmud, they say that Jesus is rolling in high increment. I find that offensive, but yet they can feel that way. They can do that. They can ban Christians. They can ban the Bible. They can do all these things in Israel, but you can't say nothing about that, what they're doing. Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me. But Christians say, oh, they're the chosen people, and they don't even like your God. They say that your God's mother was a whore. I didn't say it is in their book. It's in their Talmud, one of their holy books, right? But the Christians still want to say, oh, well, the Israelis have a right to their self-determination. It's their land. They have a right to be, they're entitled to be there in their land. It's their land. Y'all want to rethink that? Because you're only going by what Pastor told you. But I just showed you in the protocols that they got something for the pastors too, for the religious people too. So they all come underneath their religion, under their God. Who's their God? Satan, in my humble opinion. I'm going to get off this book. Because I've been on it too long. I just want y'all to know that the protocols of Zion is out there. And they don't want y'all to see it. They don't want y'all to know about it. But I didn't let the cat out of the bag. If you haven't read it, I suggest that you do. Stop playing into these people's hands and thinking that you're some type of anti-Semitic because you say that you have an opinion about what they're doing. They're not God. And in my opinion, they're definitely not God's chosen people. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed this information that I put forth to you, please give it a thumbs up. Share the video with your friends. and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Subscribe to News, Facts, and Comments. Subscribe to Achoti Speaks, and subscribe to Major TV. Because what we're not going to do, we're not going to play the numbers game. We're not going to play the algorithm game. Every time I come on this mic, I'm going to be trying to give you something, information that can help you and your family do better. It's not about clickbait. This is about real life stuff, and our lives matter. And our future are literally in y'all's hands. If y'all don't get together, they're going to destroy what you know as your own self culture and your own self being. Like, y'all talk with that shit about Hamas, but they have a plan. They have a whole charter. What do we as a Black nation have? And I say again, I do not condone violence, but I do think you have a right to protect yourself. I thank y'all for listening. And as usual, you know, I love you all with the love of Yahuwah. Don't forget to come back on tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central for the NFNC Sunday rap session. We're going to be talking about what happened in the news, sports, and entertainment. And we may even have this discussion again. Just open up the phone lines maybe to see how you guys thought about what I presented today. The Protocols of Zion. Like, it's 131 pages, I believe. So, yeah, delve into it. And come back with your questions. I would be curious to find out what my people are thinking in this hour about the Protocols of Zion, about anti-Semitism in Zionism. Are you a Zionist? Love you all with the love of Yahuwah. Thank you for watching. Shalom.